shut that.
We wanted to talk with you since I don't know what's going on here with the whole situation. So,
About what?
pardon?
About what?
Well, we haven't seen you in 3.5 years, and you show up for Passover, and you don't say anything to us, and I just wonder where you are.
Well, I'm still living in Hawkins.
Oh, I don't mean
Physically.
Okay.
Spiritually and all of that with regard to church affiliation. I mean, don't you understand that it's very awkward for all of us and wondering where you are? And, we're talking about spiritually and that kind of thing.
Okay. Well, I have all of the same beliefs that I had when I stopped attending. The primary reason that I stopped attending in February of 2014 was because I felt that my life was in danger, and to protect myself and the girls, I separated from Jim and I filed for divorce. And
I am intimately aware of that through, according to the records I have here, I've got this whole exchange of email back and two. The last time that I tried to communicate with you is March the 2nd, 2014. Hi Laura, I'm wondering where things stand since you served Jim with divorce papers. Please let me know if you intend to continue attending UCGIA. If you do plan on attending, we need to discuss some things with you as to how to handle this situation in a way that is pleasing to God our Father. Please let me know your intentions as soon as possible. He never responded. That's the last attempt that I had.
okay. I honestly don't know if I got that email, but it's been a few years and I don't remember not responding. I know that every communication prior to that you sent to me, I did respond to. So, you know, I made that choice because I felt that I didn't want to make it awkward for people here while I was going through the process of divorcing Jim. And I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want people to feel like that they had to pick sides. And so my beliefs haven't changed. I have visited a few other churches. I have been at home most of the time. But in some ways, I really feel the best thing for Kylie. She wants to attend here. And there are still times when she does feel unsafe with her dad. And I really prefer, I would like to attend church with her. And so I did come to Passover, and I've been back some since then.
Yeah, we've noticed that you here virtually every Sabbath and attended Passover. Can't you understand our position in that things have so changed that here you are with Dave Haber and all of the things about Dave Haber. Now, what I understand now, Dave Haber is not in your sights.
We did attend with Dave Haber's congregation for a brief period of time until there was a problem, and that prevented that. But I have not attended over there since last fall, and neither have the girls.
It's sort of ironic that now you're estranged from the Habers, and it seems that Jim is in some ways defending the Havers, not altogether, but I'm just trying to sort this out and the effect it'll have on the congregation, because people are asking me, y'all see Laura Moody's here. In one way they're glad, but they want to know, and I need to know,
Well,
as the pastor of the church, is this thing strange?
I understand.
Anything to us?
I didn't mean any offense by that. I certainly, I didn't know if I should try to reach out to you. I'm sure you're familiar because I know you've stated before that you're familiar because you've had family members that have divorced, but it is a really hard and horrible thing, and I absolutely know that there are people that, based on what they have probably been told about the situation, I personally have not reached out to a single member of this congregation to, in any way,
anyway try to defend your action. Is that, now you said that you are still somewhat afraid of Kylie being with Jim. And Jim has told me that Kylie is asked to live with him, or something like that.
well, I'm not aware of that, but that's not to say that that isn't true. I don't know. Kylie has not told me that. I know that even just this week there was a situation where Jim texted me in a group text with Kylie and said, I'll be picking Kylie up at 1:15 on Saturday and taking her to church, and she's going to spend the afternoon and evening with me, and I'll have her home at 10 or 11. And I had not heard anything from Kylie about that, and so when I got the text, I went to Kylie and I said, well, your dad is saying that you want to do this, and she said, well, no, Mom, that's not true. She said, Dad reached out to me and asked if I would be willing to go to church with him and sit beside him, and I said yes. So I'm sure you're probably no stranger to the fact that in situations like these, your kids can play you against each other. I don't know. All I know is, like I said, and one thing that I can assure you and maintain is that anything that I report to you, I have some sort of proof of that. Like, I do only communicate with Jim in writing by email or text, so that there is a clear record of what was said and what was done. And so I know for me that Kylie and I have had several discussions about the possibility of living with her dad, and she assures me repeatedly that that's the last thing that she wants. And in that, it wasn't even her bringing it up, it was him saying something to me and I brought it up to her. She has never initiated a conversation with me about wanting to live with him.
Well, I don't know for sure.
So
He did tell me that he invited her to come to church with him, which sounded a bit strange. Hadn't she been attending all along? But I guess it was through the missionaries in the U.S. and not Jim.
Right. I know for me that I know that there are people that have judged my situation based on things that they've said to me, and I'm not actively seeking anybody out. I understand that there's a lot of people that would not want to be affiliated with me, or are uncomfortable around me because I did divorce Jim, and I'm okay with that. The only people that I am associating with and visiting with are the people that approach me, and I'm not trying to, and I never have. You know, I have a lot of documentation that led me to the point that I did, and the decisions that I made even to file for divorce against Jim, to be separated from him, and but I never tried to take that to our friends and make a case for why I did what I did. I just felt like that I know that God knows, and that was sufficient for me. And you even saw some of that evidence yourself. I gave you the name of the counselor that we had been seeing. She was able to confirm to you some of the things that Jim had admitted to in our counseling sessions. So you've seen some of that evidence, and there's a lot more where that came from. And, you know, I have honestly tried to live as peacefully as I can with Jim. I do not harbor any ill will towards him. I don't have any reaction to him. He will always be the father of my children. But you know, I did not feel safe living with him, and, you know, I still don't. The first 6 months after we were separated, the behavior that other people witnessed with him led him to being criminally trespassed from my place of work and my home in Hawkins. And those are on record with Wood County and Upshur County and the city of Big Sandy. There was behavior that is synonymous with what most people call stalking. And even when we made formal...
How did that manifest itself?
He would be waiting in the parking lot of City Hall when it was time for me to get off work, or he would circle the block 6 or 8 times when the other employees were leaving and it was time for me to be leaving. He was showing up at all hours of the night at my house in Hawkins and alarming my neighbors, who are also believers. And he would go and put things on my mirror, or, I mean, instead of just sending me something in the mail, he would stop by and stick things in my mailbox in the middle of the night, or at 4 in the morning, or, you know, things like that. And, you know, there's probably some more things that you're not aware of. I mean, the girls came to assist him with camp just, you know, either 2 summers ago or 1 summer ago. I don't even remember which. And it was last summer, actually. And I let Karina drive my car over here. And they had a situation with Jim at camp that led her to leaving in the middle of the night because she felt so uncomfortable with how he was acting towards her and felt that he was being inappropriate after everybody had gone to bed at camp. And she came home to me at like 2:30 in the morning.
What was the nature of his conduct?
I guess he had told the kids to go to bed at midnight, and they did that, but they were like making noise or something, and he told her to meet him in the kitchen, and she didn't obey him, and so she, like, I really, you know, I'm not completely clear on all the details, but she didn't feel comfortable meeting him alone, and she asked him if they could talk about later, and he said no, and so she tried to go to the bathroom, and he tried to stop her from going to the bathroom, and all I know is that eventually she made it down the hall and out the door, and she left things here at the church building and got in my car. The gates were locked, and she drove through the grass to get home to me in Hawkins at 2:30 in the morning. So, anyway, I mean, you know, I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable, but I really would like to attend church with Kylie. And I really am making a point of not trying to approach anybody that doesn't approach me. And I genuinely am okay with people not wanting to talk to me.
Well, I don't know if anybody's not wanting to talk with you. It's just under the circumstances. And usually, of course, I saw you show up at Passover, and it's a weighty thing to do that, and you had not called, you had not said a word, and to this day you hadn't said a word until I asked to talk with you after services. I mean, it's just unusual.
I didn't know that you accepted that. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to do the best that I can.
And we got, of course, here we have two people attending services, and like the sermon today of reconciliation and loving each member of the body of Christ, and all of that. And it seems that what you've already said, that you're afraid for Kylie to really be around Jim that much, that he might do something to her.
Whatever Kylie initiates with her dad or agrees to, I allow her to do, but I have pretty much allowed the girls to initiate whatever situation they have wanted to with Jim. And of course I'm not there, it's their unsupervised visits and all of that, but I think that there are behaviors that you're not aware of that led to even the things that I'm describing, being criminally trespassed from my home, being criminally trespassed from my work, from repeated surprise visits and things like that. I know that I really don't even talk to the girls about it. Like when Karina came home from camp in the middle of the night, I obviously was very alarmed, but she's 18, and I said, I don't know what happened, but you're going to have to work that out with him. I don't fear him like that in a public situation like church. I mean, obviously we attended church for 20 years and there were no real problems while we were at church.
Well, you guys look like you were the model family of the earth.
Well, I did the best that I could.
But when it got down to it, the main reason, and still is to some degree, is Jim's anger. Was that what I understand?
Just a strong desire to control the people around him. Sometimes that was manifested in anger, but it was more force than necessarily anger. Like if the girls
It's kind of hard to believe your daughter came home in the middle of the night and you didn't have a discussion about what it was about.
other than asking her why she came home, but I did not try to make her sit down and talk to him about it. I asked her why she was home and she told me why.
Are you still in communication with Karina?
I'm not right now, no. We basically last October had a fairly significant issue with David Haver Jr., the younger of the Havers, and
Are there like three, David Sr., David the second, and David the third? Or?
no,
There's just two boys.
there's
I'm
David.
talking about David Sr., Dave Haver, and he's got two boys.
Yes.
The oldest boy, what's his name?
His name is David Haver III.
What's the youngest boy's name?
Jonathan.
Okay.
Yeah, Jonathan's the magician. But anyway, I discovered some very inappropriate contact between David Haber III and Kylie on her cell phone last August, September, and October. And I went to him and asked that he would please leave her alone. And he refused, and there's a whole history there. But at that point, Karina decided to believe him and not me. And so, because I went to law enforcement to have Kylie's phone reviewed, she decided that she doesn't want to talk to me right now. So I've not had any contact with her since October. She lives with David and Diana, actually. And she does have limited contact with Jim. He offered to give her a car in January, which she accepted, but it is a contract, and she has to agree to see him twice a month in order to keep the car. And so she does that.
So what is your, I don't even know how to ask the question, like, your assessment of Jim now and any kind of, forget about marriage reconciliation, but quote, Christian reconciliation of attending the same congregation, and obviously, I mean, I can't control it, but at the same time, I'm somewhat responsible with regard to people say, well, what's the deal now with Laura Moody? Is she back attending church? I thought she had, and I have no answer, like I said. Well, she hasn't talked to me, so I don't know what the situation is.
Well,
So,
I would like to be able to come and attend in peace as long as Kylie wants to attend the congregation. I'm not sure what you mean by reconciliation as far as Jim is concerned. I don't, just like the scripture that Dr. Baker read today, I do live as peaceably as I can with all people. I genuinely try to do that. And again, I don't go out of my way to be involved in his life, but if he does want something, if he wants to meet with the girls, I do try to accommodate as much as I possibly can. I don't hate him. I don't wish him any ill will. I consider him a partner. We have children together, and we're both mature adults, and my hope is that even with time that would improve and we could each just be parents to our kids. I'm not going to get upset and walk away if he walks up and tries to talk to me, and I'm okay with that. So as far as, I don't foresee that there would ever be a time that we would be back together as husband and wife.
Well, I'm not indicating anything like that. I'm just wondering about peace in the congregation and future, even the church with regard to divorce and remarriage and all the things that go with that.
Well, I know what the church's long-standing tradition is on that, and I know that typically that's something I think at this point that the council would consider if he wanted to seek remarriage. And I know
actually, the council does not involve itself with that. There's a separate committee called the DNR committee.
Well, I know for me, I'm not interested in that at all. So I'm not concerned about remarriage, but if he were, I would be okay if he wanted to do that.
So you don't talk to him verbally on the phone, or?
No, we had a situation a few weeks ago, or I'm sorry, probably 6 weeks ago, it wasn't just a few weeks, where I actually wanted to talk to him about, he had reached out to Kylie and Karina both about doing something, and I had asked him if he would just call me because I wanted to give him a little bit more background about what had happened with David Haver III. And he refused to call me back. And I did eventually text him and say, well, if I'm not able to call and talk to you on the phone, then I'm not going to be able to make this happen. So he called me, and that's probably the first time we've talked on the phone in 4 years, for a while.
So am I understanding correctly that as far as your interest in the church and being, quote, a full fellowship person within the church, that it's basically if Kylie wants to attend, if Kylie's not attending, you won't attend, or do you have a commitment to God and the church and the body of truth you say that you still believe?
I absolutely have a commitment to God. I would like to continue to attend, even if Kylie doesn't. But, I don't want to make people uncomfortable either. So.
Well, I think that will depend on you. You tell me that you're not trying to win people over to, quote, your cause, or you don't even discuss anything about your life with Jim.
I've talked to a few people here about some things with Kylie that are not related to Jim, but I don't feel like that's appropriate. I know that he's still an elder here.
Well, you wrote me a couple of pleading things to not remove his eldership, to not even remove him from team coordinator, which we did. Eventually. But I'm concerned too with regard to Jim himself, if he has the kind of problems that you say he has he overcome that as a grown man?
I don't know. That's what I don't know. I can tell you that I have the documentation. We separated in December of 2014, I guess, or 2013.
2013.
December of 2013. The initial, we did a temporary visitation arrangement, and he was to have the girls like one day a week, and then on the Sabbath, like for 6 hours. And I did, for a while we did that, but in June of 2014, after about the 6th time that I got called in the few brief hours that they were together, and the girls called me and wanted me to come and pick them up and remove them from his care, they made the decision not to see him anymore. And so between June of 2014 and, as far as I know, December of 2016, they had almost zero contact. Now, before Karina got so upset with me regarding the situation with David Haver III, she had told me that Jim had reached out to her and had offered to buy her a car, but that he was offering a contract with the car, and that it would require her to see him a couple of times a month. And so she felt like that was a win-win for her. And so I know she reinitiated contact with him in December regarding the car, and they started seeing each other more regularly. Now, even with Kylie, that connection, from what she has told me, which I'm not saying is the truth, because teens are teens, and that means that sometimes they portray things to their own benefit. But what she told me was that she and Karina had talked about 6 weeks ago, and that she realized that basically to be in the same situation that Karina's in, where Jim would help her with a car in another year when she's ready to go to college, that she needed to have a relationship with him and that she was willing to try to do more things with him. And I've seen the emails that he sent her, and I mean, my perception is that he just really wants a relationship with them, and I do understand that. I mean, he's their dad. But my perception is that he's primarily enticing them with money and other things that appeal to them right now, which maybe that's a start, you know.
Yeah.
Who am I to judge that? So I know that the first time that Kylie got back together with him in like 4 years was the Sunday before Passover. He offered her $15 an hour to come and help him clean his new house, and she needed money, and she said yes. So, you know, and most of the contact with him is, you know, he'll say, you know, let's come swim at the lake at Holly Lake Ranch, and, you know, some things like that.
Yeah.
So, I don't, you know, I really don't know. I don't know if he's overcome. I mean, there's just, it's my perception that Jim has not gotten to the point that he is past the hurt of the divorce, which I'm not saying it's easy, but, and so therefore he wants very limited contact with me. And I know from the emails that he sent me that he has told me that he believes that I've lost my salvation because I chose to divorce him. And perhaps I have.
And what would you base that on?
I don't think I have.
I mean, there's no sin upon repentance cannot be forgiven. So, I mean, whether it's a sin or not a sin. I mean, God doesn't cast you away unless you cast him away. I'm sure you know that. Any of you, two of you, have anything to say, Wanda, Dr. Baker?
My concern for the church is that the interaction should not be involved in any way with his side or her side kind of thing, where this is my story, you know, this is what really happened. In other words, that people start dividing into camps then, and that splits the church then in a way that's not helpful. So I would say that it's best, as Jim, as far as I know, Jim doesn't talk about it at church to anyone. I mean, other than counseling the elder, like myself. But I would say that that would be a absolute rule for both parties, that no discussion about he said or I said or this is the way it is or anything like that that has anything to do with the relationship between the two of them. That shouldn't be a conversation piece. That anybody asks you, you say, I'm not going to talk about that at church. The only other thing that is a problem is social media, because there are a lot of people that follow social media, and then whether it's you or your sister or somebody posting things, and then it starts coming around the church again. That needs to, I think, be cooled way down as far as anyone that you're interacting with, as far as, you know, implying things that you know, there's still a problem here with Jim or with you or this or the girls and all that. Really, the social media stuff is not helpful for anybody. I think you've gotten burned in the past with a little bit of social media, and so I would say that if you could cool that and get your connections to cool it as well, that would really help as far as not creating any situation of division.
Well, I'm not sure what you're referring to, Howard, because there's only one point in time ever that I had posted something on social media that was in regards to Jim, and it was very specific, and I did remove it within a few hours.
Yeah, I know.
And that was 4 years ago.
Yeah, I know. But your sister, for instance, just recently posted something.
It wasn't directed at Jim.
Well, it's implied.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, well, that's the way people read it. So I'm telling you that,
I
you're
can't
such
control.
a sacrificial, your situation is so, you're hanging in there, this and that, all of that, and it doesn't sound good. I mean, you can say that, well,
I
no
can't-
names were used or this or
I
that,
can't
but people
control what
can.
other people
I know,
post.
but you can have an influence on. We don't need to have a lot of stuff posted out there that people can read into things that, because it's not helpful to the situation in the church. Have that kind of stuff going on, so I would really try and cool that, as well as saying anything interacting in the congregation.
I haven't said anything at church, and I don't intend to. And I would think that the fact that I haven't reached out to anybody in 4 years would say a lot.
I'm just stating what I consider to be a concern, that we don't want it to happen.
I understand.
Right? I'm watching out for the congregation, and I don't want anything to kind of create chaos.
I don't either.
No.
My thought is, with Jim being an elder and the responsibilities that he has, that he should be brought in here to answer to these things that she said, and that needs to be done. You need to get his side because of his position in the church and because of the girls.
In what sense? Now, we've already done that in the past. It's going to be he said, she said.
Right.
I don't personally feel that Jim is a threat to other people.
I've never believed that. Ever.
Okay. Well, I think that
I'm sorry, I didn't mean it in that way, that he should be allowed to answer these things that you said, because he might be a threat to someone. I didn't mean it that way. Not
Okay.
at all.
With regard to, I don't know exactly what you're talking about, interaction with the girls. I would imagine that he frames it one way, Laura frames it another way.
We see the world not as it is, but as we are, out of our own paradigms.
And then you probably have to talk to the girls to get really
Their opinion, different
their
from
opinion.
it.
I don't know if I want to drag them into it or not. I don't do.
I've already heard, alternative stories to what we're hearing here about the night with Karina and all of this thing and what was going on. And so, I don't want to get involved with all of the he said and she said, and this is true and this is not true, but I'm just saying that there are alternative stories to what I'm hearing. So I think that's just the facts.
Yeah, you're going to have that.
Yeah.
Two people are going to tell you to see it different ways.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why I said what I said.
Well, I understand that, but we have done some of that 4 years ago at noon.
Right.
But this is a whole new thing.
And what,
It's a new time, it's a new, subject's not the right word, but it's just,
Well, the circumstance is different now that she's attending it. You know.
right,
I mean, that creates a whole different scenario than what we've been with for the last several years.
exactly.
what specifically are you talking about, Wanda?
That, just like if we had Jim in here and he was saying these things, I would feel that Laura needed to be in here to answer these things. And they should be face to face with the minister answering these things. It's not just that because Laura's saying it, I feel like Jim should have a chance. It would be vice versa also.
But it'll never, it's just gonna be two opinions. Yeah, that's why they're in the situation they're in. They get two different opinions.
Well, I know for me, my intention, it was, I would like to just come and meet in peace, and like I said, I'm not talking to other people about the situation, and I don't intend to. I don't feel that that's necessary in any way. And I don't, like today, I mean, I would have even been okay, like Kylie sat with Jim and sitting beside her, but I know that, Jim didn't indicate he wanted anything like that, and that's fine.
That's
So-
probably not good.
No,
That's probably not
it's
good.
not a good thing.
So, I know people
Because
have
that
asked,
would give the wrong impression.
well, I know some people have asked me when I've been here, oh, did you know he was gone this week? And I was like, I don't know his schedule, and I don't. I mean, whether or not I attended was not dependent on whether or not he was here. So,
What Wanda's talking about, I know Jim has his view of the interaction you described. To really get more what really happened, you have to talk to the girls
right.
and what their stories.
I'm not sure we get that, but just a different,
And that you would get-
opinion. Well,
The thing is not creating any kind of
Right.
chaos
right,
here.
right.
I don't want that.
I don't understand why anybody would even say to you, did you know he's not here today? I don't understand
No,
that.
no.
I don't know.
There's a whole lot less chance if she doesn't bring it up, obviously. But,
Well,
it
no,
would
I
be
didn't get
discussion.
I don't know, if nothing's been said, I don't understand why. I don't see myself going up to Laura and saying, seeing that she's here and saying, did you know Jim's not here?
Yeah, I just,
Or even, did you know Jim's here?
So somebody said that?
That's what
somebody
she just
said that one of the first weeks that I was here. One of the first
that
weeks that I attended, he
was
wasn't.
not today, huh?
No, it wasn't today. He wasn't here one of the first weeks I attended, and they said, oh, well, are you here because you knew he wasn't here? And I said, no, I'm just attending
Oh,
church.
Yeah.
So, no.
I don't do social media, so I don't know what's on Facebook.
I don't either.
So, but,
I actually don't.
of course,
much
that's
either.
very good advice. It's-
Yeah.
That kind of
That
stuff.
Facebook is like
Oh,
a disease.
it is.
And an addiction.
I'm not-
I never had a Facebook account. I don't intend to, but sometimes people will email you what they
Oh,
see
yeah.
on it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then,
some
of
people
course-
I talk to, I say such and such. They'll say, oh, yeah, I saw that on Facebook, but
Yeah. Good advice is to not get too involved with that as far as personal stuff is concerned. But
Well, and I think that people just have to be very careful in not assuming everything, which it sounds like to me has taken place in this situation, because I've been dealing with a very difficult situation that is not related at all to Jim or even the girls.
Yeah.
And what my
Yeah.
sister recently posted was in reference to that and had nothing to do with either situation, but, you know.
As I said, you know, Facebook and stuff like that can lead to all kinds of trouble. Whether or not it had anything to do with it, it's how people interpret things. You know, so, you know, hey, let your sister write you or call you on the phone so that she wants to tell you something.
I can say something.
Don't put it out so the world sees it. Okay, well, I would say, you know, let's keep the situation as low key as we can as far as attending. I mean, my concern is for no camps being formed or anything like that. Beyond that, that'd be my one concern for the church. We don't need that.
I do share the same concern, which is why I have acted the way that I have the last 4 years and will continue to.
My concern also has to do with your own personal commitment and that kind of thing, that you're not just doing it for Kylie or anybody else, though that could be a part of it, but
I'm not just doing it for Kylie.
that you are committed.
Yes, sir. I have been for a long time, since I was baptized.
But I mean, I don't know. The whole realm is just mystifying in a way with especially with the Haver thing and his nursing, his involvement there in the first several months of your divorce was. He called me up about, I don't know how long ago it was. It's over a year. He was like wanting to chew me out because I had not taken strong action against Jim.
Yeah, my wife heard some of that from the elder Haver, and you know.
Well, we took some action.
It wasn't at my request, and he didn't even.
In fact, I told him, I said, well, Laura and the children specifically said, please don't take action against him. But we did take some action. He was off the speaking schedule. He was removed from teen court. You can't have somebody say, well, I'm divorcing him because of his anger toward the children, being the teen coordinator.
Well, I can honestly say that I never asked Dave Haver to initiate any contact with you, and the majority of the information that he received about my situation came through his son from my children, not from me.
Yeah. Well, I think we would beat this thing to death right now, and we'll see how it goes, and go from there. Just don't create any camps. Try to avoid it being on social media, which apparently you say you have avoided. And we'll see how it goes. But my main thing is your commitment, and you don't want to, quote, lose your salvation over anything.
I don't think I have, but I have some documents that you may want to read where Jim indicated that I probably have, because my decision to divorce him. I don't believe that I personally have lost my salvation.
Yeah. Well, what Jim believes is not. It's your relationship between you and God. That's,
Yes, sir.
and Jim can't do that for you.
I'm very aware.
All right, well,
Okay.
let's break it up. I think I gotta go
Carry
and see
on.
if I got power on my house,
Let's carry on.
or whether I got a light of candle, or curse the darkness.
Ours came back on. Ours was off from about 7 to 7:30.
We got a little dribbly rain. We hardly got any.
Yeah, before last night. Woke up with the thundering.
Oh, the thundering was tremendous. It was rattling the
We got
Now,